Investigation Discovery's newest show, Killer Confessions, premieres tonight at 9 p.m. Joining me now to discuss this new true crime series is the man who is known as the human lie detector, retired Texas Ranger James Holland. So great to see you, my fellow Texan.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
All right, before we get into the show, could you tell our viewers a little bit about your career in law enforcement and then leading up to this new show?
Sure, yeah. I spent roughly 27 years in Texas law enforcement working for the Texas Department of Public Safety, the Texas State Police. I spent my last 7, 8 years as a member of what they call the USIT team, which is the Unsolved Crime Investigative Team. And I focused on cold case murders, serial killers, dismemberments, ritualistic killings. And that's kind of how I ended my career.
You know, I'm amazed reading your biography and the show and everything you're touching on. How in the world did you develop this skill to be known as the human lie detector? Is this something you've always been good at in your own personal life and it paid off in law enforcement? Or how did it even come about?
I mean, I think it was an evolution that started, maybe with a little bit of knack and then a lot of study, thousands of interviews and interrogations. And I think more than anything, probably a drive, which was stepping into the room with a killer who I couldn't get to confess. And it really kind of opened up, my study into the human psyche, reaching out to psychiatrists, experts across the country, and really trying to develop a game plan for interviewing, sociopathic and sociopathic and psychopathic mindsets. And when I stepped into it, the answers that I received on how do I get these people to talk, how do I get them to confess, and I was told pretty much the same thing. They're not going to, good luck if you don't have tangible evidence, and that wasn't enough for me. So I really wanted to figure out, what made them tick and how I could get them to open up to me.
It is so fascinating. I bet your family never lies to you. I'm just saying. Okay, so the 2-hour season premiere is tonight. It's the case of 4 missing women. What can you tell our viewers to expect tonight with this first case?
It's a case that rocked Houston, Texas, Southern America in 1997, and women were just disappearing, and there was no answers. And in 2007, I was called back and asked to look at that case, and roughly 20 years later, we were able to interview a suspect and ultimately recover the remains of 2 of the women. And the significance of the case to me, I mean, there's a lot of significance of the case to me, but one of the victim's mothers, her daughter kissed her goodbye that morning, and she went off to school, and she told her that she loved her. And for 20 years, she didn't know what happened to her because she didn't come home, and no one had found her. And every time the phone rang and every time someone knocked at the door, this woman was wondering if this could, be her daughter finally coming home. And to be able to finally, justice is a hard word. I mean, the reality is there really justice, and is there any justice for these families? And I don't swallow that too well. I don't really think there is. I know there isn't. But being able to give them answers 20 years later, and at least when those parents went to bed at night, they knew what had happened, and ultimately to recover their daughters and give them some type of burial.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
that's what the first 2 episodes focus on.
That that's amazing. And you think about it, it's humans dealing with needing closure. With all these cases that you're covering in season 1, is there a resolution? Will the viewers be satisfied knowing that there is a resolution to the story and knowing how it ends?
Yeah, so I mean, every one of these stories has an ending. They're horrible, tragic accounts, but they all have an ending. One of the most important things about the show was, remembering the victims' families, and the idea was to pull the curtain back and really kind of show viewers what law enforcement is doing in the interview room in these investigations. But one of the things, which is going to sound really crazy, but that we want to focus on, is the actual perpetrators. And not that we memorialize them in a good way, but that people understand that there's evil out there, that there's evil hiding in the shadows, and there's really boogeymen. And to know where our kids are, to know who they're hanging out with, and where they're going, and to be accountable to them, because evil's out there, and we need to remember that. We need to support law enforcement's, actions in trying to catch these people and funding. There's thousands of unsolved murders in the United States. There's tens of thousands of missing people. In the reality, people like this will continue to kill until they're caught and put away, and that opportunity is taken from them.
Wow, I didn't realize there were so many unsolved cases. That's staggering to think about, and how many families, are wondering what's happened to their loved ones. And speaking of what you just said, with the killers, is there anything that surprises you now with all the cases you've worked on about the killer mind or these evil people? Anything that still surprises you, or have you seen it all?
No, I mean, no, nothing really surprises me. But then you step in the room, and then you get hit again. So I mean, I think it's the stuff that you can't even imagine, you can't even think about. I mean, the evil that people don't really want to know exists.
It is. It's a great show. I want to say thank you so much for your service and everything you've done and how many cases you have helped solve, especially for these family members. We appreciate your time so much. The show is fantastic. Looking forward to the rest of the season. You can catch the 2-hour season premiere tonight on Investigation Discoveries. James, such a pleasure and honor to meet you, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.